Can you believe that it's been 7 years since this console generation began? Doesn't really seem that long ago, does it? But to put that in perspective, I just graduated from high school and I was in 6th grade when the Xbox 360 first came out. It seems like just yesterday I was reading all about the Nintendo Revolution. I remember gushing about it on the playground. Oh my god, guys, have you seen the new Nintendo system? It looks so cool! It's got this great new controller that actually senses the way you move, so there's gonna be like sword fighting and stuff. And it's gonna totally change the way we play games, and it's gonna be really cool! But that's not what ended up happening, is it? The story of the Wii is more or less one of broken promises and shattered hope. The innovative new controls ended up being gimmicky at best and broken at worst. The console was flooded with slapdash party games that had zero effort put into them. The introduction of casual gamers didn't diversify gaming, but instead fragmented it further. It turned many gamers exclusive and spiteful. The general attitude of the gaming populace is one of cynicism and despair. By the time this video goes out, E3 2012 will have already come to pass, and I'm willing to bet that the forums are exploding with declarations that it was the worst E3 ever, like we get every year. Maybe Nintendo will manage to impress gamers of the Wii U, but I somehow doubt it myself. But I'm not here to talk about any of that. Not today, anyway. There are problems with this industry, and there are problems with Nintendo, and there are plenty of people on the internet willing to lament the wasted potential of the Wii. But right now, I want to do something a little different. I want to celebrate it. I want you to stop for a moment and picture an alternate reality where Nintendo went belly up after the GameCube and the Wii was never released. What kind of future do you see? Well, the one I see is dark. Very dark. Like really, really, really dark. Like pitch dark. Look, all jokes aside, I know the Wii's problems as well as anyone. The motion controls are almost always gimmicky bullshit, the online is obtuse and frustrating, the majority of Nintendo's first-party offerings play it safe, and its graphics are only impressive to Victorian-era time travelers. But, despite all of that, I still contend the Wii has done far more good than bad. How? Well, for one, Nintendo's atrocious online meant that there was a focus on local multiplayer. Don't get me wrong, I love online gaming. It's really convenient, and some of my finest gaming moments were only possible through online play. But local multiplayer really is an incredible experience that the PS3 and 360 hardly seem to acknowledge. A lot of people decry Nintendo's multiplayer titles like Mario Kart, Smash Bros, and Mario Party as too chaotic and gimmicky. But people who say that are missing the point. Local multiplayer isn't so much about the games themselves, but enjoying the company you're in. It's about good-natured trash talk, silly house rules, alliances, snacks, and all the other wonderful things that only come from real interaction with another human being. You know how the stereotype of the average gamer is an antisocial loner who never interacts with anyone outside of the internet? The Wii does everything possible to defy that stereotype. I would argue that the Wii does local multiplayer better than any console ever made due to the physical element the Wiimote brings. Sure, you look like a jackass whenever you play Wii games, but I'll take looking like a jackass in the company of friends over getting screamed at on Xbox Live by a 10-year-old with a pot-related gamer tag. Party games may not be the most complex things in the world, but the better ones like Wii Sports and Mario Party can be great fun in the right company. Plus, the Wii isn't just about the Wiimote. One of my favorite things about the Wii is that it's a fully functioning GameCube as well. It's not just backwards compatible, it doesn't just play GameCube games. All the old GameCube accessories work for it as well. I can still play Donkey Kong Jungle Beat with the bongos, I can still trade Pokemon into Pokemon Coliseum, but more importantly, I can still use my old GameCube controllers. Not only that, but they work for new games like Brawl and Sonic Colors as well. The GameCube controller is one of my favorites, and it's been a real pleasure to have been able to use it for another generation. Plus, my N64 controllers have seen better days, so being able to play those games again with a superior controller at the fairly reasonable price of $10 has been a blessing for me. I know Nintendo is basically selling my childhood back to me, but it's still better than not being able to play those games at all. Speaking of which, if you're a retro gamer, the Wii is pretty much the best place for you to go outside of emulation. The XBLA and PSN both have great libraries of original games, but in terms of retro games, the Wii still has them both beat with the Virtual Console. The selection of games is pretty solid, and it introduced me to a lot of stuff that either came out before I was born or I missed out on when they were first released. I don't think I ever would have played the original Zeldas without the Wii. The Wii gives me a great selection of awesome retro games and puts them all in one place for me. I'm a lazy ass, and I don't like having to dig around for cartridges. Being able to load up Donkey Kong Country on a menu is a lot more convenient than hooking up my SNES when I want to play it. Even if none of that matters to you, if all your old games still work and you don't mind putting in the extra 2 seconds of effort to swap a cartridge, the biggest benefit of the Virtual Console is giving an avenue for old games to survive. You see, games aren't like books. An old book can still be read and reprinted, provided it was kept in good enough condition. An old game can only be played on the system it was designed for. By putting all these classics on the Virtual Console, Nintendo is ensuring that the past is being kept alive, at least for now. And not just Nintendo games either. Genesis games, TurboGrafx games, Neo Geo games, arcade games, they're all getting a second chance in the service. Sure, you probably still have your old copies of Super Metroid and Sonic the Hedgehog laying around, but the Virtual Console allows the kids of today the chance to grow up with those games the way we did. And to me, there's something magical about that. The continued existence of Nintendo also means that Mario has been able to keep his iconic status and hasn't been relegated to niche appeal like Sonic has. To me, Mario represents everything good about gaming. He's a happy-go-lucky sort of character who can be put into any kind of role in any kind of game. He starred in platformers, racers, puzzle games, RPGs, sports games, party games. Hell, thinking about it, all we'd really need is some FPS games for Mario to have dabbled in every genre. Some call it selling out. I call it being adaptable. Mario offers something for everyone, and it's his mass appeal that's kept him around for so long. He represents what gaming can be if we let it, a force that brings happiness to people of all kinds. And that's what the Wii was all about, right? Bringing happiness to everyone. Not just established Nintendo fans, not just hardcore gamers, not even just casual gamers, everyone. There's no denying that on the whole, the Wii kind of failed at this. It didn't really deliver too many proper hardcore experiences. But the fact that we have new blood entering the world of gaming at all is an absolute win for me. I like variety in my life, and I like it in my games. And if the market expands to include people beyond white heterosexual males, it means that developers are going to have to start thinking outside the box and stop pumping out the same boring shit to appeal to the core demographic. Even if other demographics don't matter as much as people claim, then at least the Wii has gotten another generation of kids hooked on gaming. The Wii has effectively ensured that games will still have an audience after people my age inevitably start growing up, getting jobs, more responsibilities, and start gaming less as a result. The Wii's party games may not be great, but they're a start to ending this black hole of grittiness that we created. And finally, well, I'd like to end this with a little personal story. You see, over the past few months, games have stopped serving their purpose for me. They stopped making me happy and started to depress me. I saw the sea of bullshit FPS games clogging the shelves and competence getting praised as excellence. I saw a community infested with hatred and malevolence. I saw people sitting on their asses and claiming that this terrible, terrible industry is good enough. I gave up hope. I thought about giving up on gaming altogether. Then, a funny thing happened. I had my graduation party and I busted out the Wii. I pulled out my GameCube controllers and started assigning people to teams. I booted up the system and selected Mario Party 2 from the Wii menu. It was 20 turns on Horrorland. I had 2 people who had never played the game before on my team, and we ended the game dead last with 0 coins and 0 stars. And you know what? It was one of the best moments I've ever had with the video game. I had a sort of epiphany as I looked around the room at my group of friends. These were all different kinds of people in here, laughing, screaming, passing the controller to one another. Some of those people had nothing in common, and yet we were all united through a silly virtual board game. And suddenly, all that praise for the Wii by those that had written off as casual gamers suddenly made sense. This is what the Wii is all about. No, more than that, this is what gaming is all about. Everything good about the Wii that I just described was perfectly encapsulated in that one game of Mario Party. That one game restored the hope in me that had long since been drained by the likes of EA and Call of Duty. A lot of you are the same way I was, jaded and cynical, more often than not left depressed by a medium that's purpose is to bring happiness. I just want to say to you, don't despair. Everything you loved about gaming as a child is still there, underneath all the online passes and on-disc DLC and all the other bullshit that keeps getting rammed down our throats. Things aren't going to get better on their own. We need to make a concerted effort to raise awareness of the various issues that plague our hobby and try to change things for the better. Gaming's going to need new ideas. And for all its faults, the Wii was a brand new idea. It didn't quite work, but the gaming world is way better for it. I'm confident that Nintendo has learned a lot from both its victories and its failures, and I'm glad the success of the Wii has allowed it to try something new with the Wii U as opposed to making more of the same but with better graphics. So, here's to gaming, to the future, to Nintendo, and most importantly, to the Wii.
You taught me to find in a world so unkind, that the darker the shadow, the brighter the light that's behind. Father of my childhood, author of my dreams. My parents clothed and cared for me, but you taught me everything. I know I'm not the only one who wouldn't be today. The man who stands before you now. Taught me